An excerpt from one of my books wound up in court for hate speech. And now the same thing has happened to an excerpt from the Bible. Not so long ago, quoting scripture could win you a prize at Sunday school. Now it lands you in the dock at Helsinki District Court on charges of violating the equality and dignity of homosexuals. The accused, facing jail time if she loses, is a former Finnish Minister of the Interior, so the equivalent of the UK's Home Secretary. And this case will determine whether Christian scripture can be criminalised. Päivi Räsänen is the accused and the former cabinet minister, and we're glad to have you with us. I hope, did I say your first name correctly? I get a feeling I didn't. I used to know a bit about Finnish pronunciations, but was that close enough?
Päivi.
Okay. Päivi. Okay. Well, yes. You seem very jolly, considering you're on trial right at the moment. How do you feel the case is going and is likely to go?
Yes, I have to say that just now I'm quite relieved because the hard day is now back. And yesterday, yes, we had the trial, but it continues. We have the next day of trial on February, and after that, then the court makes the decision. It takes about 1 to 2 months to get the resolution of the court. But indeed, this is a very important issue just now in Finland, because it is a question of freedom of speech and freedom of religion in a country that has so long roots in democracy and basic freedoms.
Yes, and this arose simply because you put out, I think it was a tweet, quoting scripture from the Bible, which, whatever one feels about homosexuality, there's not a lot of support for it in the Bible. And so you were prosecuted because the Bible appears now to conflict with Finnish law.
In fact, it was an issue that was debated in the Finnish Lutheran Church, which is a majority church in Finland. About 70% of people, of population, belong to the church. And 2 years ago, the leadership of the Finnish Lutheran Evangelical Church made the decision to support the Helsinki Pride event. And I have to say that shocked me, because I felt that this is in contradiction with the doctrine of the Bible, of the church, which is the Bible. And I took a photo from my Bible, from Romans chapter 1, where the Apostle Paul teaches about marriage and homosexuality, and then asked my leadership of the church in the Twitter update about this contradiction. And some citizen made a criminal complaint, and then police started to investigate this. And at first I thought that it will not conclude to any charges, but now I'm in the situation that, in fact, the prosecutor general has brought up 3 charges. There is also a pamphlet that I had written almost 20 years ago that was picked up, and there are also some kind of teaching about the Bible that is now under charges and investigation. So we are now in that kind of situation in Finland.
Yes, I've heard similar cases from around the Western world. There was a pastor in Canada who had put up, I think it was a billboard, an advertising billboard with a quotation from Leviticus in it. And there have been cases like that, but yours is different because you're a prominent person in Finland. You're a former government minister. Do you think they're making an example of you so that people will just go quiet about this, and that they'll just simply say, well, we know these verses from Romans and Leviticus, but we're just going to put them to one side and we won't quote them anymore?
Yes, I think that you are right, because this is just the biggest danger in this all this process, that it will have a chilling effect on Christians and on Finnish people, because they are afraid of expressing their conviction and beliefs in the Bible. But I want to say that I have never insulted or given any hate speech against minorities. So I have always said also in that pamphlet that all people are created equal. All people have the same dignity. So I think that the message of the Bible, it is not insulting or it is not hate speech. It arouses from the love of God.
That's I mean, it's one thing, as I mentioned, one of my books wound up on trial for hate speech, but it's a little different when a book that is in many ways the underpinning of Christendom throughout Europe and the underpinning of our civilization. Because if this case against you were to be successful, if the prosecution was successful, in the next few years, all kinds of other, this passage in this book offends somebody. This passage in this gospel offends somebody, and you could actually wind up filleting the Bible, and there being less and less of it that you could actually utter in public. And in that sense, it's extremely weird to think that you can have freedom of religion, but not the freedom to quote from the central text of that religion.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm not alone in my views. Those views that I have expressed, they are the classical doctrines of Christian churches and the Bible. What Christians have believed about marriage and sexuality for hundreds of years. So there is not anything extremist use. And in fact, when the police investigated my writings, the police said that if my writings are banned, then the Bible should also be banned. So, so I think that it would have quite dangerous consequences if I do not win the case. So, of course, I try to defend myself, and I try to defend the freedom of speech, that no one else should be in the same situation that where I am now.
Let me ask you a final question. People often point this out, that there seem to be double standards. You're being taken to court for quoting the Bible, for quoting Romans, and yet there are many blood-curdling passages in the Quran that, for example, are extremely cruel and hateful about Jews, for example, and yet I can't imagine in any European court that any judge would entertain the proposition of a case against somebody for quoting the Quran. There does seem to be a kind of double standard.
Yes, we have had this kind of discussion also in Finland. Many people have asked the same question. And I would say that the LGBT network, it is quite powerful also in Finland as in Europe, in other countries. And it has taken on its target just Christian beliefs and the Bible, because perhaps it would like to compete with the Christian values. And that's why I think that we are now in that kind of atmosphere where we have to defend the freedom of Christian expression and Christian beliefs. So I want to encourage all Christians to be open about their faith, to tell about Jesus and to tell about the doctrines of Bible. Because if we are silent, the space for these freedoms become all the time more narrower.
Yep. A great narrowing is going on. That's a good way to put it. Thank you very much for joining us. We are going to follow this case and we hope to hear back from you. We will keep an eye on that. Helsinki District Court. Thank you for joining us tonight.